I'm awesome. I did it. You people are relatively awesome as well. Because you're here. That's not breaking my first Bodhisattva vow, because I'm praising myself, but I'm not comparing myself to another teacher. Well, maybe I should break it fully and criticize Aldo. Nah, later. Okay, I'll tell you when to start, okay, anyway?
Okay, start now?
No. Well, because you're here.
Sorry?
Okay.
Okay, I start now.
Yes.
Okay. Sashi Puki Toshi Meto Riran Lingshi Ninte Kiempati Sange Shindu Mite Uwagi Drokun Namda Shingla Drupasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Karniya Tayami Sange Chudang Soki Chotnam La Jangchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsu Chi Taki Chenyen Kipe Sunam Ki Drola Penche Sange Dupasho Sange Chudang Soki Chotnam La Jangchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsu Chi Taki Chenyen Kipe Sunam Ki Drola Penche Sange Dupasho Sange Chudang Soki Chotnam La Jangchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsu Chi Taki Chenyen Kipe Sunam Ki Drola Penche Sange Dupasho. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Good job. Okay, so first things first, we have to take this here quiz. Okay? I took it. It's actually has some difficulties, okay? So I hope you studied. All right, here we go. If you're not going to take the quiz, then look away and check back in about 10 minutes. Here we go. So it's just all the results. So question 1 is the two consistent, and then question 2 is the question 2 is the Buddhist teacher. All right, so if I make it small, if I make it like this, you guys should be able to get it. Okay. Good luck. Is everybody done? Leah is. 3 minutes, Kelly McGee. Fine. No, it's fine. Okay. About 3 minutes. Okay. Ready? Cool. All right. Okay, so we are on our last 2 classes for course 17 review, which is amazing. I'm thrilled. Because we're on the last 2 classes, it means we're on a new text. We just finished. What did we just finish?
Vinaya.
Yeah. What book? What book were we studying?
Vinaya Sutra.
By who?
I don't remember.
Hmm?
I don't remember.
What? Say Guna.
Guna.
Prabha.
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 Yeah. Ba means light. Pra means like a lot of, like effulgent or something. Illumined. But in Sanskrit, ba and ba are two different letters. BHA becomes PHO in English, so that's how we get the word photon or photo or a few other things. I think phenome comes from that too, but I don't know. Anyway, meaning light. Guna means qualities, meanings he's bright with good qualities or something. I don't know. Okay, cool. And Vinaya Sutra. What's ironic about the name Vinaya Sutra?
It's not really a sutra.
Yeah. Why is it not really a sutra?
Because it wasn't written by the Buddha.
I don't think it was very short either. So, I think it was quite long, actually. Vinaya Sutra is actually the first book in the ancient catalog of texts by Indian masters called the Tengyur. It's book number 1. So it's distinguished in that manner too. No se escucha. Oh. Whose volume? Yo? Or Paola? Tanya? Tanya says the volume's low. I don't know if she means. She said no. I said. Okay. I don't know. Paola, you take care of that. Okay. I don't think it's me because Kelly McGee can hear me fine, right, Kelly McGee?
Yeah.
Okay. Tanya, I hope it works out. Okay, so now we're on to what may be the single best piece of literature in the history of the whole world. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I'm serious. This might be the greatest book of all time. I mean, obviously, that's empty, in my opinion. But it's ridiculous. And I haven't read the whole thing, and Geshe-la does not translate the whole thing for this class. There's talk of one of the translators in our group translating it for his next book, which would be quite a feat. And let's hope that he does it, because that means I get to sit on those classes, and it's amazing. And it's written by one of the greatest authors of all time. His name is Master Shantideva. Shanti means, you know what Shanti means. You say at the end of every yoga class. What does Shanti mean?
Peace.
Yeah. How come they say it 3 times? Who said that? Mancho? Okay, Mancho, Mr. Smarty Pants Yogi. Why do you say it 3 times at the end of each yoga class?
Because it's the first is for me, the second is for the presence, or the people who is in there, and the third is the affirmation for everyone else.
Well, that's cool. That sounds like a non-Buddhist explanation, but I like it. Okay, I'll give you the Buddhist explanation, okay? We say it's for the 3 sufferings. the suffering of suffering, like back pain or your wife leaving you. Although that could be a good thing. So we'll just say back pain. Then we have the suffering of change, meaning like finishing. They say finishing a good dinner, meaning it's over now. And then the all-pervasive suffering, which means the suffering that comes from having a human body and or some other kind of suffering body, which means you're going to age and get sick and die. And a bunch of other mental afflictions. Yay! Okay, so shanti, shanti, shanti means shanti to back pain, shanti to dinner's ending, and shanti to this human body which hurts and dies and feels pain. But Mancho's right too. Okay. Anyway, Deva, what does Deva mean?
Is a kind of saint.
Yeah, it's actually a god. Shantideva is definitely a kind of saint. I think he's the kind of saint who is a god. But Shantideva means like the god of peace. Like, and Shantideva is the god of peace. No one but the god of peace could have written this book, okay? There's parts of this book that they're unfathomably clear. It's like, it's so clear. What is one part? So Master Shantideva to me has the best quotes of anyone. I'm sorry, Lord Buddha. I'm in love with Master Shantideva. But what does he say? He says, why should I help people who are suffering? His question, why should you help people who are suffering? Because they're suffering. Duh. And you're almost like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean what I'm talking about? They're suffering. You're like, what? Yeah. Right? And then regular people are like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Really? Okay, so Bodhisattva, you're like, duh, of course they're suffering. That's what you do when people are suffering, you help. There's nothing else to think about, right? Anyway, think about it. I'm not saying I'm some great Bodhisattva, but that line I get. Okay. So here we go. Name the root text we'll be using in our study of the Bodhisattva's way of life, its author, and his approximate dates. Oh, by the way, should I tell the whole Master Shantideva story? Everyone probably knows it. Does everyone know Master Shantideva's story? Kelly McGee does. Okay, I'll tell it. I can't not tell it. Okay, for the recording, you guys already heard it. You know everything. Just listen. So, in about 700 AD, there was born a prince. And at a very young age, this prince showed a high acumen for the Dharma. And the story's going to be super abridged, okay? And at some point, I think he was like 9 or something, his ability of the Dharma was so high that Manjushri himself came from his paradise and was like, okay, I'm going to teach you Shantideva, Master Shantideva. And so Master Shantideva received direct teachings as a child on up from the Buddha of wisdom, Lord Manjushri. But of course, Master Shantideva kept all that secret. No one knew. And then sometime later, he became a monk and he entered the monastery. And so at that time, what's considered by many the greatest Buddhist monastery of all history, Nalanda Monastery was still active. And so he joined the monastery. And at the monastery, and so this is like the highest scholarship in the whole Buddhist world and all of India. And so they had these high standards. So apparently, during the day, Master Shantideva would appear to do nothing. He would just eat and sleep all day. And so he got the name, in Sanskrit, it's Buzuku. In Tibetan, it's Dushe Sumbawa, which means Mr. Three Thoughts. And those three thoughts are eat, sleep, and poop. Okay? Because all these high monks thought, who is this lazy monk we let in the monastery? He doesn't do anything except eat our food, sleep, and poop all day. And so they made fun of him. And Master Shantideva, being the god of peace incarnate, was like, oh, like, that's on y'all. I'm just gonna do my thing. And after time, the other monks got fed up. They got frustrated. They're like, you know what? We got to get this lazy, good for nothing monk out of here. Okay. So they devised a plan. They said, everyone needs to do a teaching to stay in the monastery, right? And they're like, right. Well, we should make Shantideva do his teaching, because if he messes up, because you need a reason to throw people out of the monastery. After someone's in the monastery, you can't just throw them out. You know, once someone's in a Buddhist monastery, unless they do some kind of major infraction, and even then, I've heard from my Lama that it's hard to throw a person out of the monastery once they're in. They have to really blank up, really mess up, okay? So anyway, they're like, well, everyone has to give a teaching. If Master Shantideva can't give his teaching, then we can kick him out of the monastery. And so they're like, all right, let's spring it on him. So the monks came to Master Shantideva and was like, so, Basuku, you're gonna have to give a teaching tomorrow. Ooh, and Master Shantideva was like, I don't know if it was really tomorrow, but it was short notice, is my point. And Master Shantideva was like, okay, just tell me the time, all casual about it. And so all the monks gathered, and it was time for Master Shantideva to give his teaching. And there's this thing I've heard in another Buddhist story too that happens. Was it 2 stories or 3 stories I've heard it in? At least 2. It's in the story of Little Road, if you know that story. But anyway, yeah, Little Road, it's the same story. Yeah, 2 stories. Anyway, so Master Shantideva, what they did, because there's a throne, and the seating throne is more like what we call a platform. It's not like a Western like chair. If you've ever been to like a teaching with a High Lama, they make like a big platform for them, and then they put their cushion on there, and their accoutrement, like whatever they need to teach, and snacks and drinks and stuff like that. Anyway, they do this for Master Shantideva, but what they do is they make the throne like, I don't know exact height, but it's like 20 feet tall or something, like super high. But they don't put a step ladder beside there. And even like a regular throne, like I've been honored enough to go on the throne at Diamond Mountain to give a teaching, and that's only like 4.5 feet tall or something. And it's still hard. You still got to do like a thing to get up there. If you had to just get up, you'd have to like do a little like press, or jump or something, right? So imagine something twice or even more higher than that. There's nothing you can do. So they're going to be like, hee. They were like, hee. He's not even going to be able to get up on the throne to teach. He'll be done right away. And so they saw him like approaching the throne, kind of like look up at it, and then all of a sudden he's on top of it cross-legged, and they're like, wait, what just happened? Uh-oh. And I think some of the smarter monks at that point, or the wiser ones, are like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. We messed up. Because there's no way to get up there, and all of a sudden he appears on top. They're like, uh-oh. So he's up there, and everyone's already like, something weird's going on. And so the Master Shantideva was like, you know what? I have a question for everybody. And I don't know how many monks were gathered, but to say Nalendra at its height, imagine like 1,000 Buddhist monks, okay? And you're supposed to be the slacker of the bunch. And you go up there, and no one's ever heard you say anything at all, you know? And you go up there, you're up there, and he says, hey fellas, I have a question. They're like, what, man? What, Mr. Three Thoughts? Do you want a new teaching or an old teaching? And that's like taking the gauntlet out in like Western. It's like, on God. Because in Buddhism, to give a new teaching, you have to be like a master, like approaching Buddha level, okay? I don't know if it was started in India or in Tibet, but apparently, I think you could be sentenced to death if you wrote a bad text in Tibet. Honestly, I'm pretty sure. I might be remembering wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. But what they would do is they would take your book, tie it to a dog's tail, and like somehow, I don't know, probably hit the dog, and then have the dog run through town with your, like, I guess, not up to par book being dragged through the mud and the streets of wherever. And then they would take your head off or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty harsh. Good encouragement to learn your Tibetan grammar, though. And so to give a new teaching was like unheard of. You know, I mean, if you look at Buddhism closely, like I've looked, you know, I don't know, I would say intermediately closely. You only see like a master generally every like couple hundred years. You know, you see like Lord Buddha, and then few 700 years later, Arya Nagarjuna, a couple hundred years later, Master Asanga, Master Vasubandhu, you know, a couple hundred years after that, you know, Master Chandrakirti, 100 years after that, Master Shantideva, like that, you know? I mean, there's other ones I skipped over, obviously, but generally, it seems like good writers, good Buddhist authors are like kind of like once in a generation or less. So anyway, to have this upstart say a new teaching was like, yeah, right. And they're like, yeah, give us a new teaching. Yeah, that's what we want. Give us the new one. He's like, okay. And then from memory, Master Shantideva starts weaving the most profound verses, all in poetry, in like perfect, unbelievable Sanskrit of like all time. It was like you never heard Shakespeare before, you never heard of him, and all of a sudden, you know, he's a slacker in class, and all of a sudden he starts speaking, you know, Othello, and you're like, what? And you're like, you know, it's like, huh? What's going on? And he just starts going and going and going. And everyone's just like, oh my God. And apparently, this is the story, because this book is very, very famous. And it's one of the most famous things about the book is the 9th chapter of this text is on wisdom. And many people, when they'll translate, say someone says, okay, I'm going to translate the Bodhisattva's way of life. They will translate the first 8 chapters and the last one. They will skip the 9th chapter because it is so hard to understand that unless you have some amazing teacher or you're just have some ridiculous seeds, you cannot understand it. So people will just skip that chapter. They're just like, can't do it, not even gonna try. I'll do the whole rest of the book. So that's the 9th chapter. So when Master Shantideva gets to the 9th chapter, apparently he starts to float off the throne because like it's so high, and he just starts to like literally float. And apparently at that point, only the monks with telepathy or other kind of clairvoyance can even understand or like hear what he's saying. And he starts to float up higher and higher and higher. And I don't know how this worked, but apparently he goes through the roof, or I don't know if they were outside or what, but he starts to float in the sky. And then only a few monks can hear him, and they're like, what did you say? Keep going. And then next thing, he just poof, disappears. And everyone's just like, we really messed up today. and then they get into this whole, and then they start trying to write it down from memory, and they start to get in this whole argument about, is there 9 chapters or there 10, because some people heard 9, some people heard 10. And then Master Shanti never came back to the monastery. And so then they started sending out search parties all over India because they wanted to find him. They're like, and I don't know how long it was. As I remember, it was like months and months later, one of these groups found Master Shantideva. And he was just hanging out at some Buddhist stupa, like a Buddhist shrine. You know, like anyone else would have taken him probably for some, like, I don't even know if he was in robes or not. I'm not sure. I don't remember that part of the story. But the picture I got in my head was that, like, of like how you would think of like a homeless person in New York, you know, just like on the street. I've been in Philadelphia on the street, just hanging out, like waiting for somebody or something. And I don't know if because I was black or because I had dreads or a beard or what, but people would literally come up and like try to give me money. Or they would just look at me and be like, and I'd be like, what? Like, like, really? Like, really? Like, they would seriously think I was like homeless, which is not some horrible thing, but I just thought I've had that happen to me a few times. Just because I was willing to just be on the street and just be relaxed and like I don't know, some weirdness, but it was like that. And the monks were like, they found me like, they're like, Master Shantideva, we're so sorry about the whole Mr. Three Thoughts thing and the whole, you know, high throne and tricking you. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they're like, so, want to come back to the monastery? And he's like, no, not coming back to the monastery. And they're like, what about your book? He's like, yeah, that. I left a copy of it in the rafters, you know. That's what I was doing at night when you thought I was like, you know, only pooping. So anyway, the book's there, you can have it. Bye. And apparently, I mean, I obviously added some to that story, but apparently he never came back to Nalendra. But they did find the book in the rafters. And that book was The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life by Master Shantideva. And here we are. And the book was recognized as a classic, I think, during his lifetime. Like people were like making manuscripts of it like soon after it was published. It wasn't like 700 years later or 500 years later, or I don't even think it was after his death, although I'm not exactly sure about that. But it was soon after people started to make copies of it, which is an amazing feat for a Buddhist work.
Did you write anything else?
Huh?
Do you write anything else?
Master Shantideva is known for 3 books. One is the Compendium on Practices, the Shila Samuchaya, I believe it's called. But apparently that one's a little, I don't know what the best word to describe it, arcane or something? Or is it? I think he wrote 3. One is really long, one is short, and then the Bodhisattva's Way of Life is the kind of one that's like middle in length. And I'm remembering the Compendium on Practices, and I forget the other name. I could figure it out for you, but
Bodhisattva Charyavatara?
no, that's this book. Yeah. The English is the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And the Tibetan is Jang Chub Sempe Chupa La Jupa. And the Sanskrit is the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara. Charya is activities, like the activities. That's what Geshe-la translated as way of life. And then Avatara is like entering. So sometimes people translate it as entering the Bodhisattva's, entering Bodhisattva activity. Juk means to enter. La is into. Chu is activities. And Jangchup Sempe is of the Bodhisattva. Yeah. But I forget the other one. I could figure it out probably in 5 minutes, but I'm not gonna do it now. Number 2. Oh, look. Here's the story. Describe briefly the event Master Shantidev's life, which taught the monks of Nalanda that they should never judge a person from his or her outward appearance. I just said all this. Yep. I did it. Yeah, 2 of his greatest works. Yeah, those are the 2. And I think Shila Samuchaya and the Bodhisattva Charyavatara are the ones that were in the rafters of his bed. Okay. Oh yeah, and here's his name in Tibetan. Dushe Sumbawa. Mr. 3 conceptions. Or 3 thoughts. Okay. Name the 10 chapters of the guide. Chapter 1, the benefits of the wish for enlightenment. So the first thing Master Shantideva does is sell the book. Why should you come to ACI? Okay, let me tell you a couple of good things about ACI. Okay, first of all, you could become an Arya. Yeah, Arya. What's that, you ask? What's an Arya? Sick of suffering? Sick of things coming from their side? Well, guess what? You could be an Arya. What does that mean? Let me tell you what that means. 7 lifetimes or less, people. 7 lifetimes or less, no more suffering, no more problems. What kind of suffering? Those 3 sufferings, or maybe the 4, maybe the 6. You know what I mean? No more like that, okay? You gotta sell it. 2, purifying bad deeds. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. 3, acquiring the wish. How to acquire the wish. 4, using carefulness. This is what we'd call mindfulness these days, I think. This is Pak Yu, which is this in Tibetan. Geshe-la translates as, it could be carefulness in some cases, but a lot of times mindfulness could be a better translation. guarding awareness, chasing sungwa. What? Who knows what satiation means? It goes with Drenpa. Drenpa means remembering. Satian's the thing you do in meditation before you have to remember. Course 3.
Like when you notice you're distracted, you mean?
Yeah, yes, it's the alarm. Satian's the alarm, and then, like, if you're meditating, I'm like, I did breath meditation today, actually, for a little bit. I don't do it that often anymore, but I did a little. And I was like, my breath, my breath, my breath. Like, what's gonna have for breakfast? Oh, breakfast. Okay. So if you start thinking about breakfast while you're meditating on your breath, what didn't happen? I'll give you a hint. If you're supposed to be meditating on something and you stop, what didn't happen?
You did it. Oh, I thought at first, though, this was noticing that you lost the object.
This is the alarm that tells you lost the object.
So.
Yeah, there has to be an alarm that goes off, and then you have to recall. You have to bring yourself back to the object before. But if you never get an alarm, you can't bring yourself back, right?
Right.
Okay, that's what Station is. Anyway, Master Shantideva teaches us how to do that all day in this text. Not getting angry. How is that translated? What's another way to translate that?
Patience.
Yeah, why don't we translate it as patience here?
Because the way we use patience doesn't quite cover what this is getting at.
Yeah, what else could patience be?
Like not getting annoyed when you're waiting for something.
No, that's this to a degree. But yeah, it's the waiting. Emphasize the waiting, and I'll give you the credit.
Like just waiting, just
Yeah, like the ability to wait. Like my ACI Lama, who taught me this course in 2012, said it's not waiting at the bus stop. Okay? That's not what the third perfection is. Okay, and there's a famous Lama. His name is Lama Supa. Okay? Then they spell it Zopa. And people call him Lama Zopa. Okay? The word is low tone su. Okay? Supa. And that means the perfection of patience. Who else was named Supa for $20? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, really? You guys don't remember? Hold on.
The other name of Lama Sopa?
No, someone else was named Patience. Someone else was named Supa. Look. It was in this course. Don't look at that. That's the final. Is it the first class or the second? Oh, I can't find it. No, here it is. It's coming.
Is it in the class 1?
Uh,
Droje-Kupa.
yeah, I believe it's a class 1. That's where I'm looking right now. Why can't I find it? Annoying. Fine. What was the name of the bodhisattva who's getting his limbs cut off by the king of Kalinka? His name is Patience. There we go. I mentioned his name. They don't have it here. Anyway, he was named the bodhisattva called the perfection of patience, which is Supa. Okay. Anyway, you don't care. That's why you didn't make $20, so you don't care. Okay, next. Joyous Effort. What are... Okay, if you see a list and it has not getting angry, then it has Joyous Effort right after it. What's happening? What's going on in that list?
6 perfections.
Yes, it is the perfections. What's the definition? What's the definition of joyful effort?
What's the definition of it? Like being happy about doing work.
Almost. Doing what kind of work?
What's the right, like good work, spiritual work.
Yeah, virtuous work. Yeah. Good. So, because if otherwise, any kind of hard work would be the perfection, right? Of joyful effort. Okay. Next is meditative concentration. Next is chapter 9, which is wisdom, which I talked a little bit about. And last is chapter 10, which is all dedication, and it's super beautiful and amazing. And
we just read the dedication last night at the Jewels.
oh, cool. Yeah, it's beautiful, right?
Amazing. OMG, really, really amazing.
Yeah, it's quite like may all the beings in hell have water, cool rain, water, rain down upon them. All those who are poor, may they have pocketfuls of cash. No, he doesn't say that, but it's like that. That's my poem.
Yeah, I thought maybe maybe we could read it with your ACI 18 too.
Maybe it depends what kind of mood I'm in. Okay. I'm not gonna promise. I'm pretty moody. It's hard to promise things when you're moody. Okay. But Leah, you're amazing. Okay, 4. Name and describe the first 5 metaphors used to describe the benefits of the wish for enlightenment. Okay, these are metaphors used to describe the benefits of the wish for enlightenment. Wait, what is the wish for enlightenment? We had it a couple classes ago. Come on, just give me a rough short version. Anything.
For the wish for enlightenment?
Yeah, what is it?
The desire to end suffering for yourself and all sentient beings.
Yeah, okay, Kalamigi, you're gonna learn some Tibetan. I already taught you it, but you forgot. You ready? Ready? Okay, repeat. Semke,
Semke,
Pani,
Pani,
Shendun,
Endun,
Cheer,
Cheer,
Yangdak,
Yangdak,
Sokpe,
Sokpe,
Jangchup,
Jangchup,
Du.
Du.
Yes. The wish for enlightenment is desire to become totally enlightened. It literally says for the desires of others or the goals of others, but that then gets translated as for the sake of all sentient beings. Okay. All right. Stuck some Tibetan in her brain. See how long it sticks in there. Okay. The wish is like an alchemical elixir which can change the inferior body we have now into the supreme body of a Buddha. Ooh. Wait, what do you need to become a Buddha, supposedly, according to Buddhism? Come on, you only need like 3 things. Give me it.
Karma's not the right answer.
Karma's always the right answer. What specific things?
You need you mean the body of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha?
No, what gets you those things? Like, what are the causes?
I want to say something about like the collection of merit of like doing virtuous deeds.
Yes. Basically, you need to be an arhat with bodhicitta. Okay? How do you become an arhat? You see emptiness directly. So you have to see emptiness directly enough times where all your mental afflictions go away with bodhicitta in your heart and you become a Buddha. That's it. Get going. Okay. B. The wish is like a precious jewel which is difficult to find and able to clear away the poverty of living kind. Aww. C. The wish is like an evergreen tree which doesn't die after bearing fruit in a single time, but rather continually grows and gives more fruits. It just keeps giving. D. The wish is like a great warrior who's able to protect one from great fear and danger. Yep. E. The wish is like the fire which comes at the end of an eon. It is able to burn away all your bad deeds without any difficulty at all. What about this fire thing? We didn't go over this when we talked about the realms. But does anybody know about the fire that comes at the end of an eon?
It's like, aren't there like several things that happen at the end? What do they call it? The time of degeneration or whatever?
Yeah, generation, and then at the end of a kalpa, at the end of an eon, there's a fire that I think that fire is actually from the sun. Anyway, there's a fire that consumes our whole world and even consumes the form realm. It consumes up to a certain level, and then people in the level just below it can see, or just above it, they're like, ooh, they're gone. And then all like the hells clear out and that world ends, and excuse me, and then the sun goes supernova. And that's it. Something like that. Anyway, it's supposed to be like that, like like some all-consuming fire, and it burns away all your bad deeds with little difficulty, without any difficulty at all. Okay. 5. Explain why nothing less than the precious wish could ever transform your entire world and your very being into something totally pure and enlightened. The wish for enlightenment involves the decision to reach enlightenment, the highest state of being that anyone can achieve for oneself in order to help an unlimited number of other beings. It creates the karma for one's entire future world to be totally pure. Well, That sounds good. Okay, 6. Name and describe the highest objects of the practice of making offerings. The 3 highest objects are the Buddha jewel, which refers primarily to the Dharma body, or the emptiness of the bodies of the Buddha, as opposed to the Buddha himself. The Buddha himself is not necessarily the Buddha jewel. And 2, the Dharma jewel, which refers primarily to direct perception of emptiness and the permanent cessation of spiritual obstacles. And 3, the Sangha jewel, which refers to those who have perceived emptiness directly. So the Buddha jewel is not necessarily the Buddha, the Dharma jewel is not necessarily the Dharma, and the Sangha jewel is not necessarily the Sangha. Okay? Got that, Paul? I'm not afraid of Paul not speaking fast enough. Okay. 7. Describe briefly why the act of taking refuge can actually protect you. By taking refuge in the 3 jewels, we are actually reasserting our belief in the perception of emptiness. This can protect us when we stop reacting to negative events and people, because we realize that these reactions will create karmic imprints which force us in the future to undergo this once again. Oh, okay, so explain to me how the act of taking refuge. Okay, in terms of the 2 husbands, at what point does the wife have the option to take refuge? And what does that mean?
When the husband yells at her.
Okay, husband yells at her, then describe what goes through her mind as far as if she were to take refuge.
She would think and see that him yelling at her is because of something she did in the past.
Check.
And so she would not respond by yelling back at him.
Because
that would just make her have more yelling in her life.
Because he is
Empty.
And how he shows up depends on
Her karma, her past actions.
Right, which is blanked on a blank screen.
Projected.
Exactly. That's it. Okay, so that's taking refuge. Taking refuge. There's refuge prayers. We say one at the beginning of each class. Okay, that's a refuge prayer. Did you guys know that? Kyamdro, going to cover. That's what it means. Hold on. Now you're gonna make me pull out the prayer because I want to make sure you guys know. Here it is. Kamdro Semke. Semke is the wish for enlightenment. That's why Semke Pani Chendon Chir Jangdak Zope Changchub De. Right, Kelly McGee? Just when you were trying to hide, I call on you. Okay. Kamdro means going for cover. And here it is. I go for refuge. I go for cover. Kelly's feeding her cat. See, she's one of these Buddhist people. Are you taking care of your grandma who has COVID too? I bet you are. Overachiever. So when you go to refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, what are you actually going to refuge for? Okay, Kelly McGee can't answer. Somebody else.
Going refuge to the direct perception of emptiness.
Which one's that? Buddha, Dharma, or Sangha?
That's the Dharma jewel.
Yes. Okay. So if you go to, okay, so then if you go to refuge of Sangha, what would they be going to refuge for? Two.
Everybody who's seen emptiness directly.
Don't look at that paper.
I'm not looking at the paper. I'm not looking at the paper.
I'll fire you. And if you go to refuge to the Buddha, what are you going to refuge to?
To having seen emptiness directly.
Right, to emptiness itself. Because when we say the Buddha here, we're basically referring to the part of the Buddha, which is the Buddha's mind, which is the essence body of the Buddha, right? Buddha. Goan Niku. We had that, right? A couple classes ago. Or 8 classes ago, I guess. The essence body, that part of the Buddha's mind, which is like
the Boniku?
Ngoa Niku.
Niku.
Ngoa.
Nyoa Niku.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Very, very good. Ngoa means essence. Niku, ni means just that. Ku means body. Anyway, so we go into refuge for emptiness. And it only makes sense, okay, when you teach this, because you all teach this, okay? Who's here tonight? We got all my hardcores with me. You're all going to be teachers, okay, to some degree. Maybe it's going to be your dog. Maybe Kelly McGee, you're going to teach your cat this, okay? Get the first place Geshe-la taught was in his VW Bug.
Wow.
I think the student was in the back seat and he was in the front seat and he was the teaching. And it was the monastery's bug or whatever, the beetle or whatever, right? I think it was the mailman. I don't know why the mailman wasn't delivering the mail, but anyway, that was his first class. So
Kelly,
About this story.
not too far from my Kelly. You don't worry, you got this.
I want to know more about this VW mailman story.
I don't remember too much. Geshe Michael was a student in Howell, New Jersey, with his Lama Ken Rinpoche, and for the first 8 years he was there, he wasn't even allowed to be a monk for the first 8 years, but he followed the vows and did his best, and 8 years in, his Lama granted him ordination. But anyway, sometime in that period, I don't know exactly when, he, I don't know, I guess he asked the mailman, you want to learn this stuff? Or the mailman asked him, and he taught him in the Bug. I don't know how long or how many times or whatever. You have to ask Geshe-la for those details.
Kelly, is your dad here yet?
No, I was in February. Not in New York. I'll see him in Massachusetts.
Oh, I was wondering if he was curious about this stuff, but I thought he was coming to your apartment. So
My cat has heard lots of Dharma though during.
Awesome. Okay, so those are the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and they're all basically something to do. They all have something to do with emptiness. Not basically, they do. Okay. Okay. Question 8. Hold on, let me plug my computer in. Okay, question 8. Name 3 important reasons why we should make great efforts in the practice of purifying ourselves through all 4 forces of the 4 forces together. Okay, so the 4 forces are these 4 things that we do to purify our bad deeds. Once we understand karma, we know that we have a lot of bad karma coming back at us, because I don't know about your life, but my ages 12 to 17 were fraught with bad karma. Actually, 5 to about, I don't know, I guess 41 has been kind of a rough go, but especially my teenage years, I was horrible. I confess. Anyway, so you having realized this, you're like, uh-oh, I better do something about it. So Lord Buddha gave this wonderful teaching, which Aldo, what's the name of the teaching Lord Buddha gave? Write it in the chat. Did he already write it or something? I see 2 things. What's the name of the teaching where Lord Buddha taught the 4 forces, Aldo? Come on. I don't know if he forgot or he's asleep, but yay, neither. It's called the Sutra of the 4 Forces. It's pretty easy to remember. Thanks, Aldo. You're awesome. That's exactly right. Yeah, you should use those 4 forces. And so Master Shantideva teaches the 4 forces in the Bodhisattva's way of life. And he actually teaches them in a different order than they're taught in other parts of the ACI course. I forget the order he teaches them in, but it's a different one than we're used to. So anyway, and why should we make great efforts in using the 4 forces together? Because we don't understand the laws of action and the consequences. I mean, if we really did, we wouldn't have any problems, or they would all go away really fast, because we'd automatically start doing everything right. Right, in the sense of, do you know this word sin? Everyone in the Western world has heard this word. What does sin mean?
To do something bad in the eyes of God.
No, I mean, that's what it's come to mean, but it doesn't mean that at all.
What does it actually mean?
It's an archery term. Sin just means to miss the mark. That's all it means. And look, boom. I just looked it up on the internet. The word for sin in Greek is hamartia. I don't know how to pronounce that. It is an archery term meaning to miss the mark. It implies you have a target and perhaps even a place on a target that you are trying to hit. That's it. It doesn't mean you're an idiot or something. I mean, you could be an idiot and sin, but just because you sin doesn't mean you're an idiot. Okay, there's some logic for you. Anyway, it just means you're off. Like if you're trying to be happy, and then you yelled at your mom, got in a big argument with her 2 days ago, you've sinned. Not in the sense that you've done something you should be guilty about, but because if you want to be happy, you miss the mark by that action. That's not the thing. That's not on target for what's going to make you happy. Understand? That's it. That's sinning. Okay, all this guilt stuff. Yeah, I don't know where how that came in. So yeah, That's why I need the four forces, because we're constantly off target with, at least I am. You guys are all angels, so you know what to do. B, we are unable to follow what little we do understand and constantly collect new and powerful karmic imprints. Not good ones. This is not saying good ones. Sorry. So we don't get karma at all. What we do get, we just mess up. So I'm reading Tibetan. Okay. Anyway, and C, we must remove obstacles to reaching the true wish for enlightenment. True wish? What do you mean true wish? Why do they have to say true wish? Is there a fake wish for enlightenment?
I don't know. Maybe they're talking about enlightenment for the sake of all beings instead of just for me.
That's true. Could be that, but I think it's something else. Okay, I think the chat lit up. Is it Aldo? Let's see what he says. No. Deseo supremo. The supreme desire. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know exactly what it means in Spanish, but no, I think this is just referring to like sugarcane bodhicitta, which is like the contrived wish for enlightenment, which is just like it's like a baby bodhisattva, like, I wish all beings were enlightened. Okay, you know, once you hear about it, you're just like, that'd be awesome, but you don't really have it in your heart, and like, you know. Anyway, that's what I think. Okay, 9. Name 3 different levels of virtue in which we can rejoice. Wait, let me look at this Tibetan real quick. Jangsem Kewe. Oh. Gekchunbe. Interesting. The Tibetan doesn't say true necessarily, but it might be in context with that part of the text it's from. Okay, 9. Name 3 different levels of virtue in which we can rejoice. Virtuous deeds by ourselves and others that are going to lead to the higher birth, to nirvana alone, and to the highest enlightenment. Basically anything good. You can always rejoice about something good. I mean, here's a question. Kelly McGee, you ready for debate? Did you remember how to debate, Kelly?
Not really, but I'll try.
That's an honest answer. Is everything a human does samsaric?
Yes.
So you're saying anything a human does leads to suffering?
Yes.
So are you saying everything in a human's world has suffering in it?
Yes.
So, and you telling me an ice cream cone is suffering?
Yes.
So if someone gets an ice cream cone, should you be happy for them?
Yeah.
So you should be happy for people suffering?
No.
But you just said ice cream cone suffering.
Yeah. I want to explain it, but I'm not allowed to use more words.
Is ice cream cone suffering or not?
An ice cream cone is suffering
Yes or no?
Yes.
So you're saying you should be happy for people suffering?
No.
Kaylin, you just said ice cream cone suffering and you should be happy they got ice cream cone, therefore you should be happy for their suffering.
Yeah. I did eat a lot of ice cream before this class tonight, and it did become suffering.
Suffering, see? So should you be happy for people suffering or not?
No, you should not be happy for people suffering.
Should you be happy when someone gets an ice cream cone or not?
But people like their ice cream.
Yes or no?
You can be happy for it, for them, if that's what they wanted.
So you're telling me that even though an ice cream cone will lead to suffering, because people want it, you should still be happy for them when they get it.
Yes.
Yay! Exactly. Good job. Well, Kelly McGee. I wish I could take credit for teaching you that, but I didn't. Whoever taught you is good. That's exactly true. You should be happy anytime anyone gets anything they want. Wait, what will happen to you if you're not happy when someone gets something they want?
You will have the consequences of ill will.
No, they
Happy
want it.
when someone gets what they want, which are that the things in your life that give you happiness are actually give you suffering, or like lose their happiness. I can't remember.
Things in life that you want and you get quickly lose their power to give you happiness.
Yeah.
And everything day by day, month by month, year by year continues to drain away its happiness from you. Right?
Right. So you don't get happiness from ice cream.
Yeah, because you weren't happy when someone got their ice cream. And so you're not gonna be happy when you get your ice cream, basically. Or the ice cream that gives you happiness for a minute. We used to give you happiness for a year, it gives you happiness for a minute. Or your wife who you used to love, all of a sudden you think is rude and hideous and whatever. Okay, so don't hate on people, all right? We're all, there's a famous reggae song, it says, we're all in the same boat together. Why be angry at your brother? You feel the pinch, well, I feel it too. Same blood runs through me, it runs through you. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, that's bodhicitta. Rastaman says, stop the sufferation. Okay. All right. 10. Name and describe the opposite of rejoicing. Oh my God. We were just talking about this pretty much. Jealousy, which is a kind of anger or unhappiness that someone else has attained some kind of happiness or good personal quality. Jealousy is extremely improper for bodhisattvas who are working so that every living being can have every kind of happiness. Okay? So you agreed to get every living being everything they wanted, and then someone gets what they want, and you're like, oh my God, why did they get what they want? I didn't get what I wanted. Okay? Which is also going to lead to the 8th consequence as described by Kelly McGee on our list of consequences, which you should know because you just studied for that quiz. Not that I know it very well. Okay, 11. Name and describe 4 kinds of dedication and describe what it is we are dedicating. A, general dedication. D, dedication for the sake of the sick. C, dedication for the sake of removing hunger and thirst. And D, dedication so that all that everyone's wishes for can come about. Okay, what we are dedicating. The virtuous power of all the deeds we have done, from offering up to requesting holy beings not to enter into nirvana. Wait, so we don't want holy beings to enter into nirvana? I'm confused. Kelly McGee, don't enter nirvana. Is that what we're saying?
I don't think so. Virtuous.
It says it right there. So Master Shantideva was wrong?
Why is it in quotes?
Ooh, someone's paying attention. I don't know. You tell me, students. Uh-oh, let's see what. Yeah, Aldo, but what does this nirvana mean? Conversely, your answer is correct, Aldo. Of course, your answers are always right. But what does this nirvana refer to? Does this refer to the cessation of your mental afflictions due to your one by one realizations based on the direct perception of emptiness, which is the definition of nirvana? Come on. This is when holy beings pass away, pass from this life. They call it nirvana or parinirvana. Okay, it doesn't mean the end of cessations. It just means like their final rest. You know, it's like when someone dies, you say they took their final rest. They're not resting, they're dead. That's different. But we use euphemisms mainly to make ourselves feel better. But when high lamas pass away, we say nirvana so that in our minds we realize they didn't really die. But what happens? What actually happens? Why do high lamas pass from this world?
Because we stop having the karma to see them.
Exactly. And what kind of karma would make a lama leave this world?
One where you're not not treating the teachings well.
What kind of karma makes good things disappear from this world?
Jealousy.
Yeah. Right? I mean, having a lama is one of the, if not the highest karma, right? So be happy when people get ice cream cones, even if they make them sick later in Dharma class. Okay, 12. What are we wishing for when we make dedication? We are wishing that we ourselves could become enlightened through our virtue, so that we ourselves could become the medicine, cure, and physician for the sick, become food and drink for the needy, become the very things and people that all beings wish for in a temporary and ultimate sense. Yay! Oh yeah, Hector really likes that 10th chapter. Did Hector teach it in class, Leah? Is he the one teaching course 18? Or somebody else?
Actually, Rachel's teaching it. Hector's on retreat in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah, he is with Stephen. Oh yeah, true. That's good. Hector's good. Can I teach you guys this stuff really well? Then I get to go on retreat.
Yeah.
Because I need a vacation, all right, John?
Yeah, you should definitely. Yeah, Rachel's doing amazingly. You should definitely drop in and see how she's doing it. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30.
I'm not promising I will do that, but thank you so much for.
I'm just. Can I make a comment about this question?
Sure.
So I'm just remembering, did you go to the Medicine Buddha retreat, or did you translate some of the texts for the retreat?
I went to every teaching on the translation of the text.
Ah, okay. I'm just remembering how Geshe-la talked about like that, at first he was a little bit, he wasn't so enthusiastic about it, but then he sort of came around to wanting to, study it, translate it, and teach it. And I'm just so struck that this is, at the reason for the dedication, just, bringing it back to, being, the balm, the medicine, for the world. It just sounds like so much like what we were doing in the medicine Buddha retreat. It just surprises me that he would have maybe hesitated even for a second of like, translating and teaching it.
The only reason Geshe would hesitate is because the text is easy to translate. That's all.
Did you say is or isn't?
Is. I'm very close to being able to translate that book. Okay. And if that's the case, that means Geshe is needed elsewhere. Because when it comes to Jason Kappa or something like, or Geltub J, like almost no one can translate those books into English.
Ah, okay.
That's the only reason Geshe would ever hesitate, not because he has anything against any Buddhist text, and especially not the Medicine Buddha text, but just because sometime before he wants to finish a certain amount of text before parinirvana, and me and Nick and some other people could translate the Medicine Buddha text later, but I don't know if I'm going to get to Jason Kappa level. We'll see. But he's there and he's in his prime and he wants to be able to finish those, and time is very tight for him.
Oh, can I mention something else about how Rachel's teaching 18?
Sure.
So, she wants to give everybody, all of the senior teachers, opportunity to teach so that we too can hit this like March deadline. And so we just, start out with the, with the breakout room. So like Kelly was saying, teaching emptiness, because it was, ACI 18 class 4 yesterday. So yeah, it's fun, all these different formats and ways of teaching, and hers is just a little bit different than, the 3 Jewels ACI 17 was, where Hector had a co-teacher for 16 and 17.
Oh, cool. Amazing. Well, here's to creativity. I just keep seeing myself on a stupa, like with dreadlocks and like homeless looking, like no one like knowing who I am.
Speaking of stupas, I'm working on a stupa teaching, but I have to tell you, Word, can I tell you something? I just finished my ACI 17 final exam during the last 2 hours.
Oh, wow. You're ahead of the game. Yay, rejoice. Woo! Yay! I dedicate this to me finishing my exam. Woo! Okay. Speaking of which, this weekend, we will have ACI Course 17, Class 10, and ACI Course 17 Final Review, Saturday and Sunday. That will be at 12 o'clock noon Guadalajara time and 1 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, if you're in New York or Philadelphia area or anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard there. Okay. And then we're going to finish this thing up. Are there any questions? Okay. Well, I recommend doing this quiz or studying. Well, yeah, I recommend studying for this quiz now and in the morning, because that's all the time you have actually before class. So we'll have the quiz tomorrow, and then we'll have quiz 10 on Sunday before the final review, and we'll do the homeworks together. review them, and make a final review document. And then if you want it, I'll send it to you. And then you'll take the final as soon as possible. That's my recommendation. Okay. All right. No one's saying anything. I'm finishing class. Tanya said muy bien. Gracias, Tanya. Who did it? Yinghui?
Yes.
Wait, Yinghui, how do you say? You say this? Would you say sing the mandala in Chinese or say the mandala?
Mm. Sing the mandala.
How do you say sing? I don't know how to say that one.
Sing is chang.
Chang.
Yeah.
So ni shang bu shang chang mandala?
Xiang.
Yay, I did it. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, let's start. Sashi Puki Zushi Meto Tram Viram Lingshi Ninde Genpadi Sange Shindu Nite Uwagi Roku Namda Shinga Drupa Shom Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kaniya Tayami Gewadi Gewo Gun Sunam Yeshe Sokso Shin Sunam Yeshe Lejong Wei Dampa Kuni Topa Sho.
Okay. Xie ni Yinghui.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias, Paola Pimentel.
Thank you, Word. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. All right. So, hasta mañana. Ming Tian Jin. I don't know if class is at a good time for Singapore tomorrow, Yinghui.
No, I think it's midnight, 2 o'clock.
That's not too bad. Come to class.
Oh my God, it's 2 o'clock.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't come if you're sleepy. But everyone's invited. I'd love to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Please do your homework and quiz. And I hope to see you tomorrow.